know many of us remember seeing those videos of Tiger Woods playing golf as a toddler, or home videos of other sports stars scoring goals out on the ice or making hoops when practically they are still in diapers. But when is the right time to get your kids involved in sports, even if you have those high hopes?
Right. Dr. Patrick Mularoni is an emergency physician with Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital, also division chief for sports medicine. Perfect person to talk to. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Okay, so we had a conversation after the show last time. You gave some words of wisdom. We're like, we have to do a whole segment on this. So I'm not going to steal your thunder, but you have the best advice when it comes to when to start your kids and why to start your kids in sports.
Well, I think that first and foremost, we're trying to get kids active. You know, that's the number one thing. So seeing those kids doing sports in diapers is great, but it's the organized sports that become the problem. And the bigger problem with that is when you specialize your child into one sport that they do year round, year round, year round, that's where we can get into trouble.
And of course, being able to have a child in a sport, you see these kids who are like making headway, and mom and dad are like, oh, we've got the next big sports star. And you are working with some of the best athletes in the country, mind you.
Yes.
But what do you say, what is a healthy approach for a parent to realistically, when their kids do dive into sports, especially competitive team sports right away?
I think that when you're in grade school, you should be letting children try different sports, and you should not play sports year round. And I know that's difficult as a parent or a grandparent, because if you take your child out of baseball, when your child goes and maybe they do basketball, when they come back to baseball, those kids that stayed in baseball are probably going to be a little bit better. But what we're trying to make sure is that we don't end up with kids that are burnout, and we're raising children that want to be lifelong athletes, that want to stay fit in adulthood, who actually like activity. And sometimes when we do the same sport year round for many, many years, they can get injured or they just get burnt out.
I mean, we know as adults, we get a little reinvigorated when we take a month off from something, you know, that's what vacations are for. So what about kids, whether it's, you know, athletics or dance, what do they need to know to progress and once they do want to specialize?
Well, so I think that the best time to specialize is when you're getting into that middle school or even later into high school. It's a good thing to do that. But even when they do specialize, I say that they have to take 2 months off a year. You've got to be like the pros. Like, let's think of Major League Baseball or the NFL. Let's think of the NCAA. Those athletes don't train year round. There's rules that they don't, so they take some time off. So taking a month off, letting the child's body recover and rest and grow and get rid of maybe some of those bad habits is never a bad thing.
I remember when we were having our conversation off camera, you shared, I think it was like 3 principles that we should keep in track, just in our mind, as like a checklist. I'm a list-oriented person, Doc, so I love this. What should my checklist be?
Well, I think as a checklist, the first thing that we want to do is make sure that they practice like a pro, just like I said, so that they don't do the same sport year round or that they take time off. The second thing is we're trying to raise children that want to be athletes as adults, so we want them to love their sport. And I think the third thing is to teach them what an injury feels like versus what being sore feels like. And when they're injured, they need to be pulled out, because so many of us, our whole lives are centered around what's the next tournament, what's the next trip, what's the next intensive. And sometimes a kid is injured and they can't do those things. So allowing space for that to let them heal so that they won't have to retire from the sport secondary to injury.
Hey, you shared something else with us. You said you want them to understand that pursuit and effort equals achievement, coachability later in life. These are all things that are going to help them with their career.
Right, and
because the path to professional sports or dance or whatever it is very narrow. Very
narrow. And you know, one of the reasons why I put my kids into sports is not to teach them how to win, but to teach them how to lose. They need to be good losers. And you don't want your kid to lose all the time, but you want them to be able to understand that there's going to be losses in life and how to rebound from those losses. They also need to know how the hard work pays off. And then the third thing is working with others. When you put them in team sports or if they're in a studio for dance, they need to learn to get along with others and to compete with others. And that's a good thing for later in life and in the business world even.
You know what I liked about this conversation? Advice for kids and also advice for parents, because so many times we're the ones that are causing the problems behind the scenes by making the schedules. You must see that regularly.
For sure. You know, it's summertime now. We've got to get out there and be active. Expose your kids to multiple sports. Try different things out.
I love that. I wish we did. I want to get back to that, you know, and not that specialized stuff.
Open, free play without a computer in our hands, without a screen in our hands. Just get them outside.
And just that love for activity and enjoyment. That's such good stuff. And I'm actually going to share this segment with my daughter. daughters.
Oh, there you go. I will do the same.
They're pushing for year round.
Yeah.
I know they are. Same here.
Train like a pro. Take some time off.
I love it.
There you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.